According to an old legend, an ancient traveler once crossed the desert carrying fresh milk. This journey would accidentally change the course of human food history forever. He carried fresh animal milk in a traditional organic leather pouch. The combination of heat, motion, and active enzymes began a strange transformation. As they walked for hours under the sun, the milk began to separate. When she finally stopped to rest and drink, the liquid was completely different. Instead of milk, he found a watery liquid and a soft, white solid. The milk had curdled, creating the very first form of primitive cheese. Natural rennet inside the stomach lining had split the milk's proteins apart. To his surprise, this new solid food was not only edible, but delicious. This accidental discovery would soon spread across ancient nomadic communities worldwide. Around 6000 BCE, early humans began domesticating dairy-producing animals. Goats and sheep were the primary sources of milk for these communities. Dairying was not an industry yet, but a vital means of survival. Families kept small herds and migrated with the changing of the seasons. They utilized every part of the animal, turning hides into shelter. Bones became tools, and animal stomachs were repurposed as storage bags. These natural organic pouches naturally contained the essential curdling enzyme called rennet. When fresh milk was stored inside, the rennet naturally separated it. The proteins clumped together, leaving behind liquid whey and solid curds. By draining the whey, they discovered they could preserve the milk. Pressing and salting the curds created the earliest form of cheese. This food lasted much longer than raw milk, preventing wasted nutrition. It was portable, durable, and packed with vital calories and fats. Cheese became a crucial survival food during harsh winter months. Early humans were largely lactose intolerant, making raw milk highly problematic. However, the cheese-making process naturally removes most of the lactose. Much of the lactose drained away with the whey, while protein and fat became concentrated in the curds. This allowed early populations to safely consume dairy products for nutrition. Cheese opened up a vast new source of year-round nourishment. Over thousands of years, dairy-consuming populations began to genetically adapt. Lactase persistence developed, allowing adults to digest milk directly. But cheese came first, acting as the original culinary workaround. Archaeologists have found cheese residue on pottery dating back to 5000 BCE. These discoveries in modern-day Poland show early intentional cheese production. This means humans were no longer just stumbling into cheese making. They were actively and systematically refining the cheese-making process. Clay strainers with small holes were used to separate curds. These specialized tools have been found across Europe and Mesopotamia. These ancient strainers were designed specifically for cheese making. By the rise of Mesopotamia, cheese had become a daily staple. Sumerian clay tablets from 3500 BCE record cheese transactions. These records detail cheese and butter as common, everyday goods. Cheese was not a luxury, but a food for everyone. It fed the laborers, soldiers, and farmers of the empire. It was an essential part of the regular Mesopotamian diet. Temple records from the city of Ur describe cheese rations. These rations fueled the laborers building the ancient world. As they built monuments, cheese literally fueled their efforts. Sumerians were obsessive record keepers, especially regarding food. Their tablets show that cheese was a diverse category. They distinguished between fresh cheese and aged varieties. Some cheeses were eaten fresh, while others were stored. Different temples and cities had their own unique recipes. The city of Lagash maintained highly detailed cheese inventories. Cheese had become a vital part of the state's infrastructure. In ancient Egypt, cheese-making took on religious significance. Tomb paintings from the Old Kingdom depict cheese production. These specialized tools have been found across Europe and Mesopotamia.
Archaeologists excavating ancient tombs have found actual cheese remnants.
In the tomb of a high-ranking official, cheese was discovered. Inside a clay jar lay a solidified, white mass.
Chemical analysis confirmed it was indeed ancient cheese. It was made from a blend of cow, sheep, and goat milk.
This cheese is over 3,000 years old. It was buried as an offering for the afterlife. This shows how seriously the Egyptians valued their dairy.
Cheese was a highly valued commodity across the Mediterranean.
In ancient Greece, cheese entered the realm of mythology. Homer's Odyssey describes cheese-making in detail. The Cyclops Polyphemus is depicted as a cheesemaker. He stored baskets of curds and aging wheels. Homer's description matches traditional Greek cheese-making methods. These methods are still used in Greece today. The Greeks believed cheese was a divine gift. They credited Aristaeus, the protector of cheese-making.
Olympic athletes ate cheese to build their strength.
Soldiers carried it as a vital military ration.
Shepherds in Crete made cheese fresh every morning. They pressed curds into molds and aged them. The island of Delos became a cheese trading hub. Cheeses from across Greece passed through its markets. Cheese was exported to distant cities and empires. It was deeply woven into daily Greek life. Then came the rise of the Roman Empire. The Romans turned cheesemaking into a business.
They standardized and scaled up the production process. They created uniform recipes for consistent quality.
Roman cheese was shipped across the vast empire. They documented their techniques in detailed manuals. Columella wrote the first comprehensive cheese manual.
His text became the standard reference for centuries.
He described curdling, pressing, and salting processes.
Salting cheese was essential for long-term preservation.
They pressed curds into molds and aged them.
His methods are familiar to modern cheesemakers.
The Roman military carried cheese on every campaign. Legionaries marched with hard cheese in their packs.
It kept for months without spoiling on long journeys.
The same empire that built great stone aqueducts.
Also built a vast network for cheese distribution.
Wherever the legions went, cheese-making soon followed. Local populations quickly learned these Roman techniques. They adapted them to their own regional climates. Cheese became one of the first branded luxury goods. Pliny the Elder ranked cheeses from across the empire. He praised specific regional varieties for their flavor.
Smoked cheeses from specific cities were highly prized.
He noted cheeses from the Alps were very popular. The wealthy served imported cheeses at grand banquets.
The poor ate local, fresh cheese as a staple.
Soldiers carried it as a vital military ration.
The Romans taxed both types of cheese heavily. But then, the story took an unexpected turn.
When the Roman Empire collapsed, trade routes closed.
You might assume cheese-making collapsed with it.
Roads crumbled, cities shrank, and trade shut down. Europe entered what some call the Dark Ages. It was a period of fragmentation and decline.
But cheese-making did not disappear entirely. In fact, cheese survived in a surprising place. Christian monasteries preserved and improved the craft. Monasteries became the agricultural centers of Europe.
Monks kept detailed records of farming and dairy.
They preserved Roman texts and improved techniques. They developed methods for brewing, baking, and dairying. They threw themselves into cheese-making with devotion. Their discipline and patience produced incredible results. Cheese requires patience, a virtue monks had in abundance. Benedictine and Cistercian monks became legendary cheesemakers.
They experimented with different aging environments.
They studied how temperature and humidity affected flavor.
They developed the practice of washing cheese rinds. This encouraged specific bacteria to grow on the surface. They carved storage caves out of rocky hillsides.
The cool, humid cave air was perfect for aging. The results of these experiments are still famous today. Roquefort traces its origins to southern French caves. Monks noticed unique molds growing in these caves. This mold created distinctive blue veins and sharp flavor.
Instead of fighting the mold, they embraced it.
Parmigiano Reggiano was first produced by Italian monks. They produced it in the Emilia-Romagna region. Other famous cheeses emerged from European regions. Each variety was born from a unique combination. Local milk, regional climate, and monastic patience combined. Monastic communities had nothing but time and devotion. They discovered secrets of food science by accident. They realized aging microbes were crucial for flavor. These microbes broke down proteins into flavorful compounds. The longer a cheese aged, the more complex it became.
This is why fresh and aged cheeses taste different.
Even though they both start as simple milk. Time, bacteria, and environment do all the work.
Monks figured this out through patience and repetition.
They kept meticulous records of what worked. And they passed this knowledge down through generations.
Cheese also became a form of currency.
Farmers paid taxes and rent in cheese wheels. Monasteries accumulated enormous stores of cheese.
Markets sprang up specifically for trading cheese.
Entire regional economies revolved around dairy. In mountain communities, cheese measured a family's wealth. The more wheels they stored, the wealthier they were. This brings us to the next major chapter. The age of exploration changed cheese forever. European ships began crossing the Atlantic Ocean. They carried cattle alongside explorers and missionaries. Wherever cattle went, milk and cheese followed. Cheese was an essential provision for long voyages. Spanish colonists brought cattle to the Americas. English settlers brought herds to New England. They brought their traditional cheese-making knowledge with them. Families continued practicing the craft in the New World. Dutch colonists settled and brought their traditions. They made gouda and Edam in their new homes. French settlers brought soft cheese techniques to Canada. They adapted their methods to the harsh wilderness. Cheese was the perfect food for colonizing new lands. It lasted for months without any refrigeration.
It provided dense calories and protein in compact form. And it could be made anywhere with basic equipment.
On long ocean voyages, it kept crews alive. Hard cheese was a crucial part of ship rations. This brings us to the next major chapter. It was a reliable source of protein at sea.
The drier the cheese, the longer it lasted. Wax-coated cheeses were especially popular for travel. They survived long voyages across the oceans.
arriving at distant ports, still edible and valuable.
The same food that once fueled Roman legions.
Was now fueling global maritime trade and exploration.
By the 1700s, cheesemaking was a serious industry.
Nearly every farm produced its own unique cheese.
And regional styles began to emerge based on climate.
Cheddar became the dominant style in New England.
They produced it on a massive scale for trade. Families aged sharp cheddars through the winter. Dutch-influenced communities made softer, milder varieties.
But everything was still done on a small scale.
A single family produced only a few dozen wheels. Distribution was local, and quality varied widely. Cheese was still fundamentally an artisan product.
Made by hand in kitchens and barns across the country.
If you are enjoying this deep dive, hit subscribe.
I cover fascinating food history stories every week.
By the mid-1800s, the Industrial Revolution arrived. It transformed manufacturing, transportation, and soon, cheese making.
In 1851, the first cheese factory was founded.
An innovative pioneer in New York did something revolutionary. He convinced neighbors to pool their milk at his farm.
Where he made cheese for everyone using a standard process.
He had just invented the modern cheese factory.
Within a decade, hundreds of factories were operating.
They produced cheese on an unprecedented scale.
Milk from hundreds of farms was pooled together. Using consistent techniques for a uniform product.
Cheese transitioned from handmade to manufactured commodity. It could be shipped across the country by rail. Then came a pioneering scientist and the process of pasteurization. He showed heating liquids killed harmful bacteria.
This process revolutionized dairy safety and shelf life.
Pasteurization was quickly adopted by cheesemakers.
It made cheese safer and more predictable.
Allowing large factories to process enormous volumes.
The industry scaled up across the entire globe.
Factories opened in England, Switzerland, and beyond.
By the early 1900s, cheese was a global industry.
And it all traces back to one accidental discovery.
An accident in a desert, thousands of years ago.